Tour of Norway wouldn't be complete without some more crosswind action, even a big crash at 50 k's to go. This was the final stage, final opportunity for Mads Pedersen, who's building back up, not had a great week. Ethan Hayter, Ineos, Sheffield, Plapp, how would they balance protecting Plapp's third on GC or trying to improve it with Hayter for the stage when Johannesson, X, just off the podium in fourth, like 4 seconds behind Plapp, Remco Evenepoel. I believe he speaks Norwegian, giving a rendition to the crowd. He was comfortably 56 seconds ahead of Vine, so really with Asgreen and co. And yeah, his GC lead looked pretty safe, barring disaster. It was again a finishing circuit around Stavanger where Alexander Kristoff lives, I believe, and is from and trains still. And so, big opportunity for him. He hadn't won a stage yet at this year's Tour of Norway. A group went with Ben Healy once again, who was in the break yesterday for Education First, Corbin Strong for Israel, and some light ribaldry in the bunch. A little bit of banter. Not nice to see this sort of thing. This is a serious event, and riders chuckling along. I mean, what's to laugh about when you got, as you can see, crosswinds coming up? Look at the formation of these riders in the break. That was a foreboding omen 5 minutes later for the peloton when they hit this section that teams would try. The problem for Ineos was, poor old Luke Rowe looks behind, there's no one to follow through behind him or next to him, and he's got no Plapp, no Amador, no Gegenhardt, no Sheffield, no Hayter anywhere near him. It's Remco at the front. You see Plapp moving up in the wind himself, in a bit of a risky position behind Jumbo-Visma in good position. Chavez actually at the front at this point, but they turned, as you saw there, went straight. Trek stopped, and then they turned again. Crosswinds, Trek tried again with Pedersen and their rouleur squad. Once again, Rowe on the front, but the guys he'd be wanting to get in a split with are not there. And so when it was Chavez and Gegenhardt pulling on the front, it looked like no one had really... Everyone had stopped until there was this big crash. You see here, I think that's Jay Vine's face eating the pavement at about 55 k's an hour. He would, luckily for him, get up despite those injuries or being banged up. And I think a whole of X went down. You see Kristoff sprinting to get back to that first echelon. I can't see the blue jersey of Johannesson here, so he might have made it through, or at least in the second group. There were groups all over the road, and Ineos, as you saw with Luke Rowe, were trying to cajole the other riders into working because they could move up at least a second on GC and perhaps have a better opportunity for the stage win. But Pedersen wasn't there, and Quickstep didn't really care. Gegenhardt was saying, can someone help us? And with no one willing to help, all the groups started flowing back. X, Vine, Sheffield, who's in the white jersey, crashed. And so the break got another minute, give it back to it. Went out to 2:30 as they hit the local circuit, which once again had these punchy hills. Ineos largely at the front, Hayter at the back for these hills, as we've seen in Romandy, customary position for him, and Trek trying to keep Pedersen safe. Whilst the break, Corbin Strong looked the strongest out of it, as they did the last circuit of this climb with Kristoff's name written on it. Strong attacked, with Vermeersch, I believe, in the wheel. Gegenhardt keeping Plapp in front position. Pedersen third wheel. Sheffield fourth wheel. EF all amassed there in fifth. And Rosen bridged across, the Jumbo-Visma Dutch national champion, to Strong, who would have been a welcome sight for him, some help. And it was Gegenhardt pacing, but these guys started finessing each other, which was really surprising, and Vermeersch attacked it. It was really weird, even though they needed to work together all the way to the line. And eventually, anyway, Plapp pulled. He caught them with, I think, just over a K to go. And you see here, Hayter kind of gets shuffled back. Kristoff and Rosen will pinch him a little bit. He gets shuffled back off Plapp's wheel and ends up, about 10th, 12th wheel, just behind Evenepoel and Johannesson. Plapp's looking back to see where he is. Pedersen's third wheel on his lead-out man's wheel. Fiorelli is on his wheel in the purple for Bardiani. And as Vernon going for Quickstep in the sprint here, he'd made it over these climbs today. Kristoff is in the Fluoro Intermarché kit on Vernon's wheel. And you see here, Hayter actually moves up quite nicely through that corner when there'd been a bit of a lull. But he tries to take the wheel of, I think, Asgreen off Vernon. Vernon's not having it. And from here, Hayter kind of checks out of the sprint. You'd think, right, there's a perfect opportunity for him to slot onto Kristoff's wheel right here. And he doesn't. And then he tries to almost go onto Sheffield's wheel, his teammate who's in that white jersey, or it's Plapp, maybe. I think it's Plapp, sorry. and he's kind of out of the sprint now, and that's his sprint over. And so it's Kristoff and Pedersen fighting for the wheel of Vernon, with Vernon getting a lead out to about 250 metres to go. There's a left-hand bend again with about 175 to go or so. Fiorelli moves up onto Kristoff's wheel, the purple rider. Rosen there leading out Turnison, I think, but Turnison had crashed just before this, and Kristoff launches earlier. Might have been a little bit of tailwind, goes to the left through the barriers, and then straightens up and wins this sprint easily, with Pedersen not looking in his sort of parity sprinting form. He had crashed in a race previous to this, and Vernon not able to stay out of the saddle here after these little climbs. So that might be an endurance thing, because Vernon's top end is quite good. He actually does power through to second in front of Pedersen, and I think it's Kielich or Fiorelli fighting for fourth or fifth. But I mean, I don't think Vernon has anything to complain about, really. Kristoff, pretty clean sprint from my perspective, and I call pretty much every sprint a deviation. So I thought it was a fine sprint from Kristoff, and a big win for him in his hometown. Especially, he just keeps winning on Intermarché. He won Schelte Prize, now a bunch sprint here. Head of Vernon, Pedersen, Kielich, Fiorelli, Rosen, Turnison, Berkmos, Nicholas Merkel, and Martin Budding on Rival. But Remco, without any issues today, takes the GC win. I think it's like 9th to 10th Pro GC win. Ahead of Vine, huge result for Vine, and Plapp, I think his first GC professional podium in third. So a lovely race at Norway, some interesting racing, some aggressive racing the entire week. I hope you enjoyed the videos. Thanks to Vellon for sorting out the rights for this week for the race, and I'll see you with Dauphiné in a week or so. Ciao.